for coming. I think we had some great discussion in the morning. Some of you even got a glimpse of the beautiful air and the sun outside. Some of us stayed indoors and listened to the debates. We have a fascinating panel coming shortly after this lunch, but I'm sure you will enjoy lunch. But before we start serving food, I would like to ask the sponsor general of this Bled Strategic Forum, Keter Group, mentioned the director of Keter Group, Miran Hrženjak, to speak for the sponsor to say a welcoming word.
Thank you, Ms. Miriam. Distinguished guests, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our Brazilian friends. First of all, congratulations to organizers for excellently prepared event, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to say a few words about our company. Keter Group is a Slovenian investment company in the field of renewable energy sources and telecommunications, Keter Air being telecommunication division of it, and we are sponsors of Bled Strategic Forum for third year in a row. Given the fact that most of you still think Keter Air is an airline company, which we are not, I would like to explain to you in few words what is so special about our air technology. If until now you thought that for accessing internet, TV and telephone services you needed cable network, there is our hostess at our demonstration point in the lobby, which will prove it to you that this is no longer the case. Air is first and only technology in the world which enables all kinds of telecommunication services wirelessly on long distances. If, for example, in your country or region, you don't have good telecommunication infrastructure and you are wondering how to build it fast and with low costs, then Keter Air is the best solution. For many of you, these words may sound like a science fiction. If you don't believe it, in the lobby, as said, we have set up a demonstration point which receives signal for 150 TV HD channels, internet with speed of up to 50 megabytes per second, and telephone from base station, which is in this case about 30 kilometers away from this hotel. And on top of that, there are already several thousand users connected to this base station. Air technology allows us to go as far as 60 kilometers away from end user without using cables. In Keter Air, we are therefore very proud that the development of this unique technology is the result of home Slovenian knowledge. Thank you for your attention and enjoy your meal.
Thank you, Keter Air, and thank you, Mr. Hrženjak. So we clarified one thing. If you miss your plane later on, don't call Keter Air. But now it's a great honor for us. Mr. Hrženjak mentioned just Brazilian friends. We have friends from all around the world here, and we are extremely honored to have a very special Albanian friend, namely the Prime Minister of the Republic of Albania, Dr. Sali Berisha, who kindly agreed to be our keynote speaker at this lunch today.
Thank you, Madam. I would like to thank all of you for the honor it did to me to address today to this very prestigious forum. But let me thank also most cordially the President of Republic of Slovenia, Danilo Turk, the Prime Minister of Republic of Slovenia, Janez Janša, the President of National Assembly, Gregor Virant, for their warm and friendly hospitality shown to my delegation during my official visit in this great friendly country. I take the opportunity to express to all of them my gratitude for their extraordinary support that provided to Albanians and to Albania during these 20 years. We are proud, grateful, debtful to them for their support. I would like also to express special thanks to the Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister of Slovenia, Karl Erjavec, and Mrs. Mirjam Možgan, as well as to an organizing team of Bled Strategic Forum for the excellent organization of this important event. Mr. Prime Minister, Vice Prime Minister, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, this forum is held at a very special moment for Europe and for the region. I would like to stress also that this forum is held, and I am very happy to address to it today in a very important moment for my country and my nation, in a jubilee year of Albanians. On 28 November 2012, Albanians celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Independence Day. This is by far one of the greatest and most significant events in the history of our old nation. 28 November 1912 marked the crowning of the centuries-long efforts, sacrifices, heroism, but also wisdom and patriotism of the most distinguished men and women of our nation and every one of my countrymen for a free and independent state of Albania, despite the fact that at that time this old dream of my nation became true only in 1/3 of territories where Albanians were ethnic majority and geographic continuation. In fact, 100 years long, many efforts were put forward by 100 years ago. Many efforts were put forward by then great powers, so that Albania did not exist as political notion. These 100 years, our nation has suffered from major partitions, brutal occupation, ethnic cleansing, Orwellian dictatorships. But today, my country comes to this centennial as a free country, full member of North Atlantic Alliance, and offers its contribution to the promotion of peace, its value in the region and beyond. Albania, on the 100th anniversary of her independence, chairs the Committee of Ministers of the oldest temple of European democracy, the Council of Europe. Once citizens of totally self-isolated country, today my countrymen travel without visa throughout Europe. 2 decades ago, my country was considered one of the 3 most poor countries in the world, together with Uganda and Angola. 20 years ago in October, in my first official visit as the President of Albania in this friendly country, a young lady from Slovenian Foreign Ministry told me that a few years ago she used to receive a salary of 3,600 Deutschmark, whereas at that time she was earning a salary of $380. But she was a patriot. She told me, I feel myself much happier now than before. I told her, dear lady, my fellow citizens are having this year as revenue $200 per capita per year, whereas their president talking with you is having a salary many, many times lower than yours. But let's continue our path, believing in a better future. Today, the Albanians are still not rich, but they have a per capita income about $9,000, and Albania belongs to the group of countries with medium and high income level. Albania faces many development problems, but it has achieved some basic indicators of developed countries. Albania enjoys single-digit infant and maternal mortality. The level of general mortality in Albania is lower than in all former communist countries. Access to health and education system, as well to internet use in my country, are close or to the same level as in developed countries. So are investment protection, business registration, cross-sector investment. Albanians who in 2001 had less dwellings per 1,000 capita than any other European nation have had in the 80s, have managed with their dwelling construction to overcome in 10 years 5 EU member nations, OECD member nations. Albanian economy has certainly felt the effect of the multidimensional economic crisis, which, as it seems, is going to be a long-term one. The drop of remittances from immigrants, the drop of our exports to Italy because of the crisis there, problems created with the euro in our banking system entirely coming from Eurozone member countries create real difficulties. However, Albania did not fall into recession during these years. This is not because the Albanian economy is an isolated one. On the contrary, small economies cannot be anything else but hyperglobal. Albanian economy survived the crisis without falling into recession primarily because of its model. This model is based on low taxes, the most liberal standards on the market, small public administration, favorable business climate. Albania has one of the lowest tax levels in entire Europe. It has one of the 10 smallest governments in the world, one of the 10 most short-handed government toward business. It ranks about OECD average as regard to cross-sector investment, business registration, protection of investment. Albanian economy grew 22% in the last 5 years taken together, an amount 4 times higher than the average of the region. Albania is building one of the most modern infrastructure in the region. Its exports doubled in the period of 2009-2011. FDI increased by 316% in the last 4 years. Last year, my country hosted over 4 million tourists and visitors. It's a real quantum leap if one compares it to the total 300,000 tourists and visitors that it received in 2004. Sustainable development based on raising the competitiveness and green growth remain major objective of my government. Albania is a country rich in water, a kind of small Norway in Balkans. The government has signed with private sector about 120 contracts for construction of some 330 hydropower plants. Companies from your countries, from all the world, are working in Albania on green energy. 70 of them of these hydropowers has been built. Others are under construction. In the coming years, the country will become a small superpower of renewable energy in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, my government is fully engaged into moving Albania forward into EU integration. European integration remains the most important national project for this century. It is supported by more than 96% of public opinion as the best future for Albania and her citizens, as well as for the future of our region of the Southeast Europe and the consolidation of peace and cooperation between our countries. My government has always viewed and continues to consider Albania's EU membership as a performance and merit-based process. This is, my deep conviction is, the best interest of Albanian citizens. However, some internal problems, in my opinion, totally based in wrong and failed political calculation, have slowed this process a bit. Lately, a new spirit of bipartisan cooperation made possible the adoption by consensus of election reform and several other important laws pertaining to the process of integration. A vivid debate is going on about the immunity. I am deeply convinced that my country must get rid of immunity, and this will happen. We are trying to work to remove it through Parliament, but in case that it won't be possible, Albanians will have the right, through direct democracy, to express themselves on this fundamental matter about the equality of the citizen toward the law. I take this opportunity to reiterate the strong commitment of the Albanian government to adopt and implement all necessary legal reforms, measures, decisions, so that our country move forward in its unstoppable path toward EU. We are working closely with EU Commission and with friendly countries to meet as soon as possible our obligation for the candidate status. During these last 20 years, Albania and the Albanians have witnessed the greatest solidarity and support in their long history from many friendly countries and nations. I avail this opportunity to express my most heartfelt gratitude to the United States of America, European Union and its member states, as well as the friendly countries across the globe, to their governments and their taxpayers for the friendship and generosity they have shown to our nation. We Albanians are a small nation, but carry a very great message, that of religious tolerance par excellence, and exemplary interfaith and inter-ethnic cooperation, a centuries-old tradition of our nation. During the World War II, Albanians, with major sacrifices, stood and fought on the right side of the history and did not participate in the Holocaust. On the contrary, the number of Jews at the end of the war in Albania was several times higher than at the beginning of the war. Ladies and gentlemen, despite devastating wars and painful drama that Balkan Peninsula experienced in the recent past, the region now is witnessing a time of great efforts of its people for closer cooperation with each other, as well as a regional and European integration. Albania maintains friendly relations with all its neighbors and other countries in the region. Albania has firmly supported the dialogue between the Republic of Kosovo and Serbia for all technical issues and welcomed as a real success the EU-facilitated agreements between these two countries. We believe that their full implementation remains an important factor, not only for good bilateral relations among these two countries, but also for the region as a whole. We call on the new political leadership in Belgrade to accept, in its best interest, the independent Kosovo as an irreversible reality in our region, and to show the same willingness as the one demonstrated by the Republic of Kosovo for the full implementation of the agreements signed in Brussels. We believe this to be the best way for the consolidation of peace and cooperation in the region, which is at the same time the best interest of the citizens of the two countries and the region entirely. The Republic of Kosovo has been transformed today into a real factor of peace and stability in the region, what was clearly demonstrated by the withdrawal of the international community from the process of observances of Kosovo independence. Albanian government welcomes the essential role and contribution of ULEX and KFOR as regard to peace and stability in Kosovo and in the Balkan region. I hope also that in the near future, some European nations that member of EU and NATO that have not yet recognized Kosovo will take their right decisions. Dear friends, just a few years ago, our region saw the most brutal wars, conflicts in Europe, in the Europe of after war. Today, this region has achieved an extraordinary progress as regard to the consolidation of peace, regional cooperation and stability, as well as Euro-Atlantic and European integration. Today, Slovenia, Croatia, Albania are NATO members. Slovenia and Croatia are EU members, while the rest of the countries of the region are increasingly building closer ties and relations with the EU. This integration process has been proven the main driving force for our countries in their paths away from the bitter recent and distant past and toward the future they deserve. But I think that despite the extraordinary progress of our region has seen, it still faces problems and challenges to be solved. Effort to hinder the functioning of the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina and attempts to control the parallel structure in 3 communes north of Mitrovica, in a search of transforming them into a powerful center of regional smuggling and organized crime, are a serious problem in the region. With their attitude toward Bosnia and Herzegovina and northern Mitrovica, ultranationalist circles in Belgrade testify that they have not yet given up their bad dream that plunged the Balkans into one of the worst conflicts in its history. I think that respect of the existing borders in our region and their conversion into European borders is a condition sine qua non for peace stability in Western Balkans. But I need to stress here that another threat is in the Western Balkans is also Albanophobia. This phenomenon has marked the attitude of the neighbors toward Albanians for decades and centuries long. This doctrine of racism, hatred and contempt toward Albanians, unfortunately, continue to manifest its appalling outbreaks even today. There can be no other explanation for the police raids against the Albanians in Prisheva on the day of election silence, before the elections, orchestrated by the man who directs today the executive of Serbia, with the sole reason to terrorize people, Albanians of Prisheva, not to get the next day in election to elect their MP. And today, after more than almost 70 years, these people has no representative in the Serbian parliament. There is no justification for the denunciation of the honoring of freedom fighters who, through difficulties and sublime sacrifices, opened the way for Ohrid Agreement, which serves today as a solid basis for peace, stability in Macedonia. I only mention these two cases, but there are also others, which are and will always be unacceptable to Albanians. I believe that the full respect of minorities in Kosovo and elsewhere is crucial and vital for peace and stability. And I salute all the progress that the authority of Kosovo has done in this respect. But whoever looks to the reality will find a very interesting picture. Above Ibar, you have three totally homogeneous communes with not a single Albanian there. They say we could not live in peace with Albanians. Most of Serbs live south of Ibar. They live in full peace and harmony with their neighbors, Albanians, without any small incident. It is my deep conviction that the idea of creating, by law and constitution, of a super minority in Kosovo, Serbian super minority in Kosovo, doesn't serve at all to this minority itself. We are very rich in minorities. We are happy to have them. But also, we have to accept that European documents on minority are by far the best and most updated one. And we must be proud to implement in letters and spirit these documents. An issue of negative impact in our region is the blocking of European and Euro-Atlantic integration of Macedonia by Greece, due to the disagreement about the name issue. To me, to Albania, Macedonia is a very important country for the peace and cooperation in the region. It has carried out deep, successful reforms that have made her a de facto NATO member and a very advanced candidate status for EU membership. Finding a compromise between the parties and ending the impasse of its integration is of crucial importance for the entire region. That's why I hope and I wish that the United States and Europe will offer their new valuable contribution to both this country, finding a solution, an honorable solution for both of them, and looking together to the future. Ladies and gentlemen, Arab Spring, which began with the overthrow of dictator Ben Ali in Tunisia, brought about significant positive development welcomed by the people of the countries involved and wider international opinion. NATO and the community of the free nations proved again that they stand firmly behind the highest value of humanity. After the intervention in Libya and the overthrow of the tyrant Gaddafi, this friendly country held for the first time in its history free and fair elections. Albania welcomed the competition of elections in Egypt, believing that after the fall of Mubarak regime, the country has taken its positive first step toward the consolidation of democracy and toward regaining its rightful place as a great and important player in global arena. Syrian people are facing massacres and atrocities by Bashar al-Assad, with slaughtering its nation. The dictator has violated the spirit and letters of every article of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I firmly believe that it is of critical necessity that international community and North Atlantic Treaty Alliance take all measures, as in the case of Bosnia-Herzegovina and Kosovo and Libya, to save from the heinous butchery the Syrian people, which are martyrized for freedom and human dignity. Any delay in this regard may cost every day the life of hundreds of unprotected and innocent human beings. With regard to bilateral cooperation, Albania, being a multi-religious country, could be offered these friendly countries and nations excellent example that Islam is fully compatible with democratic system of government, as well as with universal rights and freedoms of individual. As a chairman of Committee of Ministers of Council of Europe, Albania is trying to bring these countries closer to the Council of Europe, an excellent institution with an exceptional experience, very useful to them. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Prime Minister Berisha. Now enjoy your lunch and do join us for the last panel of the Bled Strategic Forum. Thank you.